In this video, I'm going to be just quickly going through every controversial decision in the playoffs quickly and analyzing whether or not, the controversial decisions and saying whether or not I agree with them, disagree with them, whether I saw them as being possibly plausible. We're not analyzing clips because there's just too many to analyze because every single game had some kind of stupid decision. Browns, Texans, it wasn't really one decision that stood out. Dolphins, Chiefs, again, not exactly one decision. I think the most controversial decision was Mike McDaniel being aggressive and not taking a knee and trying to go for it at the end of the first half. Basically, the Dolphins were down 16-7 and they were getting the ball throughout the second half, but they wanted to double up so they could actually take the lead. But McDaniels failed to get them, in range. He failed to get them in range, and the Dolphins didn't have any point. But it was risky because it could have led to an interception, which it didn't, but it could have. Genuinely, it could have. And personally, I actually got to agree with Mike McDaniels on this one because you want to at least get a field goal so that you're at least in a one-possession game at halftime. If you just take a knee, then you would need to have the Chiefs turn the ball over in some way or punt it back to you. You'd have to get a defensive stop in some way in order to take the lead. Whereas with this, you can just simply double up. You can double up on the ball. Now, Packers, Cowboys, I think honestly the biggest dumb decision was the Cowboys even showing up because they got humiliated. That being said, there were several Cowboys decisions that I did not agree with, even though I was cheering against the Cowboys and for the Packers. So essentially I was laughing at the Cowboys. Number one, they decided to kick a field goal instead of going for on fourth down when they were down 27-7. And I don't remember what the down distance was, and I guess this could be plausible. You're turning a 3-score game into a 3-score game, but at least now all you need is 2 touchdowns and a field goal if you can stop the Packers instead of needing to drive the length of the field 3 times. Because now if you got another field goal at down 20, again, you have the same problem, only your deficit is still 17. It's still a 3-score game. And it was still early in the second half, so I could see why. What was a lot more retarded, and everyone picked up on this, was the Cowboys going for an extra point when they were down 34-16. And listen, I get it. It's a 2-point conversion from the 12-yard line. But you were late in the third quarter and there was only 18 minutes left. The Packers were effectively running the ball down on you and churning clock. So your defense has to pretty much play lights out, and then you have to drive the length of the field. You could realistically only be expected to drive down 3 or 4 more times, so you desperately wanted to make it a lower score game. And to all the people who are saying that 18 versus 17, there is a difference and much more of one than 17 versus 16, listen, I get that. At 17 points, all you need to do is do 2 touchdowns and an extra point. Down 18 points, you're going to need to do 2 of those touchdowns, where one of them you're going to need a 2-point conversion on it. Which is what happens if you fail on a 2-point conversion. Plus, if it's picked off, which we already know it can be, and return the length of the field, now the Cowboys have, now the Packers, have a 20-point lead on you. Still, that 10-yard penalty would be enforced on an extra point attempt too. It's a 43-yard extra point, which we know Aubrey can hit, seeing as he's the best kicker in the NFC. But he's missed extra points from regular distance. He missed 2 points against the Commanders the previous week. Aubrey is not perfect. He can miss. And he did. So now you're left with pretty much the same result. And I think the thing was that if you got a 2-point conversion, 17 versus 16 is a huge difference. I get it. You still need 2-point conversions. But at least now, you're in a 2-score game. And to everyone who says he needs to value possible points more than possessions, here's the thing. With the way the Packers are churning clock on you, you needed to reduce the amount of drives, and obviously getting 3 2-point conversions is very difficult. But you have to do it. It's kind of like when you score a touchdown and you're down by 1 score, but you have no timeouts and there's only 80 seconds left on the clock. An onside kick is a very low chance of success, and the opponent gets better field position if you choose the onside kick. But it's your only option to win the game because you need to get to the possession. Otherwise, the opponent can simply run the clock down on you, and with no timeouts, there's nothing you can do about it. So that's sort of why I see it in that case of why, you need to attempt the onside kick in that spot. Because it's realistically your only possible way of succeeding is to attempt the onside kick. Now, here's the thing. You have to think about how getting two 2-point conversions in a row when your offense has been struggling is really difficult. But here's the thing. That's the position that you put yourself in when you go down 24 points. So it's like one of the situations where it's like you have to. And, obviously it's very hard to do that, but like you have to. Because if you don't, and you stop the Packers and you get the 2-point conversion, it's like it stinks. It obviously stinks that you are missing the 2-point conversion, and you're highly unlikely to get 3 of them. But you need to do everything in your power to make it a 2-score game, potentially, and not keep it at a 3-score game. That's why. That's why it was so incredibly moronic. Rams line, I think that punting the ball with 4 minutes left, it was 4th and 14, and they weren't in field goal range. But the Lions had a lead, and at that point, all they would realistically need to do is get first down out of a 2-minute warning, and then they could kneel out the clock, which they did. I'm going to be honest, that punt was kind of stupid. Realistically, you want to go for it in that spot, even though it's 4th and 14. Even though, yes, if you don't get it, the Lions take over, and they can. But their offense wasn't doing great the second half, so you could then proceed to get the ball back from them if they try to make it a 2-possession game. If they can only kick a field goal, it's only a 4-point ball game. Steelers, Bills, not sure if there's any morality there. Eagles, Bucks. I actually will criticize Nick Sirianni for not taking the point and instead going for a deep shot on 4th and 5 after a Buccaneers penalty. You had the opportunity to make it a 25-12. And yeah, both 25-9 and 25-12 are 2-possession ball games. But in one case, you need 2-point conversions. In the other case, 2 extra points will win you the game. Your offense is doing shit. Take the points. And that decision to go for 2 there, I mean, I sort of get it. And there really should have been a face mask penalty called on the Buccaneers in that spot that there wasn't. But I mean, still, Sirianni did not make some good decisions there. And then why would you call a deep shot? Call a check down in that case if you're really going to go for the touchdown and be aggressive about it. Because if that deep shot fails, plus you also realize that the Eagles could not convert on third down all day, let alone 4th. As far as the divisional round goes, Ravens-Texans, again, not really much you could do there. Packers-Niners, I think that the interception at the end was Jordan Love's fault. It was Jordan Love's fault, which, because they couldn't bring Greenlaw down, cost them the game. You can't really blame LaFleur on that because Love threw a terrible throw. I think that going for on 4th and 1 in that spot and not taking not taking the chip shot field goal was the right decision because it was likelier to work out in your favor. And I think that and obviously when Carlson missed the 41-yard field goal wide left, you really had no idea that was going to happen. That's just the kicker being ass. Lions, Bucks. The 2-point conversion by the Buccaneers was actually the right call. You should go for 2 down 8. I know people think it's stupid, but if they had gotten it, and all they would need is 1 extra point to win it in regulation. Unlike the scenario where they can either do a do-or-die 2-point conversion, or they can do a do-or-die 2-point conversion, or they kick the extra point. And it's true that in the other case, yeah, they still going to need a 2-point conversion, but the chances of missing on two 2-point conversions, they're small. Now obviously, you know, that's why that was the right call in that spot. Of course, the end of the game was a very complex and mind-boggling situation. Chiefs-Ravens, I really don't think you can blame Harbaugh too much for the loss. I mean, the Ravens just turned the ball over in the end zone twice. It's really hard to come back from that. Obviously, Niners Lions, that was the worst coach games of Campbell's career. And listen, I get it. It was 4th and 2 at the San Francisco 28-yard line. Badgley is not a good kicker. Even though he hit from 54 yards against the Rams, in the regular season, his longest field goal in the past 3 years was 53 yards. So 46 and 48, that's kind of pushing on his range a little bit. 4th and 3 at the San Francisco 30-yard line, which is 4th and medium. Again, is the chances of converting it better? Yeah. And for the 4th and 2 call, you really can't blame Campbell too much. Goff threw a good throw, but it was dropped. Again, you know, if the receiver had better hands, he would have caught the ball. And it only looked stupid in reality because it failed. Because if it succeeds, and the Lions are moving the ball at will throughout the whole game. But when you're down 27-24, if it was a 4-point game, obviously, yeah, go for it. You don't want to be down 1. But it was a 3-point game. You could tie it up. And he chose not to do that, to call a 4th and 3, which was a deep shot that had no chance of succeeding. And again, a 48-yard field goal is tough. Moody missed one earlier in the game. But this wasn't a situation where something was off about Badgley, so that was just you not trusting your kicker. And if that's the case, then why do you re-sign Badgley? He should be off your roster at that point if you genuinely think he can't hit from 50 yards, which I will admit he does struggle with at distance, and he is not the money badger that people claim he is. But still, obviously, the run on third and goal at the 1-yard line was also incredibly moronic, because if you didn't get it, now you'd have to use the onside kick. During the Super Bowl, Shanahan made some questionable decisions. I think that electing to receive was probably not the right call, because if the Chiefs had scored a touchdown first, then they would have known on when it was fourth down that they would have to go for it. They might have actually won the Super Bowl, to my horror, if they had done that. So, ugh.